I'll never forget this trip because it turned something that was supposed to be fun into a nightmare I still think about every time I drive at night. Back in 2019, my best friend Jason convinced me to take a road trip from Ohio down to Texas. We were both in our mid-20s, broke, and looking for an adventure. Jason's cousin had an old RV, nothing fancy, faded paint, squeaky cabinets, smelled faintly of gasoline, but it ran, and it meant we wouldn't have to pay for hotels. That was the whole appeal. Cheap freedom. The first couple days were exactly what we'd wanted. Windows down, music blasting, stopping at weird roadside attractions, eating burgers at small-town diners that looked like they hadn't changed since the 80s. We laughed about how sketchy the RV felt, but honestly, it made the whole trip feel more authentic. By the third night, though, everything shifted. We were somewhere deep in Arkansas, close to midnight, when we pulled off for gas. The station was barely lit, just a single buzzing fluorescent light hanging over the pumps. The inside was even worse. Shelves half empty, a smell like stale cigarettes clinging to everything, and behind the counter was this older man who didn't say a word. He didn't greet us, didn't make eye contact, just scanned our snacks in silence. Jason tried to joke, "You guys get many travelers this late?" Nothing. Not even a smile. Just slid the bag across the counter and stared until we left. I remember stepping outside and feeling the air was heavier, like the night itself had changed. That's when I noticed the red pickup truck. Beat up, rust creeping up the sides, parked at the far end of the lot. No one inside that I could see, but I swear it hadn't been there when we pulled in. We climbed back into the RV, brushed it off, and hit the highway. A few miles later, headlights appeared behind us, and the more I looked in the mirror, the more I realized. It was that same red truck. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Highways overlap. People head in the same direction all the time. But 20 minutes passed. 30. Every exit we ignored, he ignored too. Finally, I said out loud, "Hey, Jason, that truck's been behind us forever." He glanced in the side mirror, shrugged it off, but I saw the tension in his shoulders. "Maybe he's just going the same way," he muttered, but my gut said otherwise. To test it, we pulled off at a random rest area. Empty lot, a single bathroom building, nothing else. As soon as we slowed down, so did he. He pulled in too. We parked, shut off the headlights, and sat in silence. The truck parked 2 rows over, engine still running. No one got out. Jason whispered, "You think he's waiting on us?" "Don't," I muttered, eyes glued to that truck. My chest was tight, my hands clammy. I didn't want to move, didn't want to give whoever it was an opening. 10 minutes passed, then 20. We just sat there listening to the faint hum of his engine across the lot. The silence was unbearable. My head kept spinning. What if we stepped out and the guy had a weapon? What if he was just waiting for one of us to break? Finally, Jason sighed. "We can't just sit here all night," so we left. The truck stayed put, at first. But 2 miles down the road, those same headlights appeared again, steady in the rear view. By now, my heart was hammering so hard I could barely breathe. Jason grabbed his phone, tried to call the cops, but the screen flashed no service. He cursed under his breath, tossed it on the dash. We were alone out there. It went on for another hour. Dark, empty highway, the same headlights locked on us like they were tethered. Every time we switched lanes, he switched. Every time we slowed, he slowed. Around 3 in the morning, we spotted a small town off the exit. A couple gas stations, a closed diner, and a little motel with a neon vacancies sign. We pulled in fast, hoping maybe the truck would keep going, but no. He rolled off right behind us. We parked by the motel office, scrambled inside. The clerk was a woman in her 40s, looked exhausted but awake. Jason started to explain, but I stopped him. I don't know why, but something in me didn't want to involve strangers. It felt dangerous to even say the words out loud. We got a room, pulled the RV around back, and slipped inside as fast as we could. Curtains closed, lights off, both of us crouched by the window. Minutes later, gravel crunched outside. The truck. It crawled slowly through the lot like it was searching. My heart stopped when it circled once, twice, then finally parked at the far end, headlights aimed directly at our room. We sat on the edge of the bed, whispering back and forth. Jason wanted to call the police, but his phone still had no signal. Mine barely had 1 bar, and when I tried dialing, it dropped. We felt trapped. That night stretched on forever. Every time we peeked through the curtains, the truck was still there. Engine running, lights aimed at us. The sound of that low, idle hum was burned into my ears. Sometime near dawn, after what felt like a lifetime, the sound stopped. I peeked again. He was gone, just gone. No headlights, no engine, nothing. We didn't even check out properly. We just grabbed our bags, tossed them into the RV, and left. The clerk gave us this strange look as we hurried out, like she knew exactly why we hadn't slept. The truck never came back. We made it to Texas, finished the trip in silence, both of us too drained to even talk about it. Even now, years later, I wonder, was it 1 guy? Was it 2? Did he follow us from that gas station, or was it random? Was he planning to rob us, or was it something worse? I don't have answers. All I know is that I'll never forget those headlights in my mirror mile after mile, and the way it felt knowing someone was out there watching, waiting, and never making a move. That was the last time I ever agreed to a road trip. I've been on plenty of late-night drives, but this one changed how I feel about being on the road forever. It was in 2017, when I was 26. My friend Brandon and I had planned this long road trip from Indiana out to Colorado. He'd just gotten out of a rough breakup, I'd just been laid off, and honestly, we both needed an escape. We thought long drives, cheap motels, and open highways would clear our heads. We left on a Thursday morning, all energy and excitement, joking about snacks, arguing over playlists, taking turns at the wheel. For the first day and a half, it was great, just two friends chasing freedom. But on the second night, everything shifted. We were somewhere in Kansas, late, close to midnight. Long stretches of empty road, fields stretching out forever. I was driving, Brandon was dozing in the passenger seat. That's when I saw headlights appear behind us. At first, it didn't register. Cars pop up all the time, but after 10-15 minutes I realized they weren't passing us, just hanging back, not too close, not too far. I nudged Brandon awake. "Hey, you see that?" He rubbed his eyes, glanced back. Probably nothing, just some guy cruising. But as the miles went by, my unease grew. Every lane change I made, the car mirrored it. When I slowed down, they slowed. When I sped up, so did they. It wasn't random, it was deliberate. We tried to shake him. Took an exit at the last second. He took it too. I pulled into a gas station, pretending like I needed fuel. He rolled in after us, parked across the lot. Didn't get out, didn't turn the lights off. Just sat there, engine idling. Inside that gas station, the fluorescent lights buzzing, shelves half empty, I could barely focus. The cashier was a young woman, maybe early 20s. She noticed the way I kept glancing at the window. I almost said something. Almost asked her if she'd seen that car before, but the words stuck in my throat. When we walked back to the van, Brandon whispered, "He's still there." The driver hadn't moved. I couldn't see his face, just the faint outline of someone sitting perfectly still. We pulled back out, my hands slick on the steering wheel. A few minutes later, those same headlights appeared in the mirror again. By now, the silence between us was heavy. Brandon finally said, "Man, this isn't coincidence. He's messing with us, but why? What did he want?" We drove another hour like that. Every mile marker, every stretch of black highway, it felt like the walls were closing in. My phone had no service. Brandon's was dead. We were completely on our own. Around 2 in the morning, I spotted a rest area sign. I slowed, debating whether to pull in. Brandon shook his head. "Don't. That's exactly what he wants." But I was exhausted. My eyes burned, my chest ached from the tension. Against better judgment, I pulled off. The rest area was nearly empty. One semi parked way in back, lights off. A bathroom building under weak yellow lamps. That was it. I parked near the edge. The car followed. He didn't park beside us. He parked across, angled slightly toward us. Lights still on. Engine still running. We sat there whispering. Should we run to the bathroom? Should we try to confront him? My gut screamed, "Stay inside." So we did. 10 minutes passed, then 20. My pulse wouldn't settle. I kept waiting for the door to open for someone to step out, but it never happened. After nearly 40 minutes, Brandon said, "This is insane, we have to move." So I started the van. As soon as we pulled out, the car did too. Back on the highway, it was the same thing, always behind us, never passing, never falling back, just constant. By 3:30 in the morning, I was beyond rattled. My body ached from gripping the wheel so tightly. Then finally, we saw a town. Small, nothing special. A diner, a gas station, and a motel with a flickering neon sign. I yanked the van off the exit and pulled straight into the motel lot. The car followed. We parked right by the office, hurried inside. The clerk, a middle-aged guy with a newspaper, barely looked up. I wanted to explain, but I couldn't. My throat was dry, my brain buzzing. I just asked for a room, paid cash. He slid the key across without a word. We slipped into the room, curtains shut tight. The place smelled like old smoke, the bedspread scratchy, but I didn't care. All I could think about was the sound of tires on gravel outside. And sure enough, a few minutes later, I heard it. Crunch, slow, deliberate. We peeked through the curtain. The car was there, circling the lot like a predator. At one point, it stopped directly in front of our door, headlights blinding through the thin curtains. I'll never forget the way Brandon whispered, "He's waiting for us." We didn't sleep. We just sat on the floor, whispering, every creak of the building making us flinch. Around dawn, the headlights finally vanished. By the time the sun came up, the car was gone. We left fast, threw the key on the counter without a word, didn't even check out properly. The rest of that trip, it felt cursed. Every car behind us, every set of headlights made my chest tighten. We made it to Colorado, but the excitement was gone. All we could think about was how close we might have come to something terrible. And the truth is, I'll never know what that driver wanted. Maybe he was just messing with us. Maybe he was waiting for us to step outside alone in the dark. The not knowing is the part that haunts me the most. Even now, when I drive at night, I check my mirrors constantly. And every time I see headlights that don't pass right away, my stomach drops. Because once you've felt what it's like to be hunted on the road, you can't unfeel it.